Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. Will Wade has a problem. His current basketball team's weakness is also Will Wade's biggest weakness. And that weakness is half-court offense. Will Wade does not make great offensive in-game adjustments. He does not. Never has. Maybe one day he will, but it ain't today. He makes great defensive adjustments because he's been a long-standing defensive coach. Even when he was an assistant, a graduate assistant, he always focused on defensive adjustments. And he's actually pretty good at halftime adjustments all around, but he is not good at half-court offense. Never has been. And hopefully now people are starting to see that. Having said all of that, there is zero excuse for last night's chicken shit performance. You go down 43-19 in the first half to a team that has a worse offense than you. Its best player is a freshman who goes out in the second half. A team that has a losing record in conference, doesn't have a true point guard, and they turn the ball over more than you do. And you're at home. This is LSU's worst loss of the season, and this will 100% ding them in the seedings come tournament time. And let's finally put this myth to bed. LSU is a very good defensive team. They are not a very smart defensive team. The refs are not out to get them, okay? They just make really bad fouls and stupid fouls over and over and over again. Nick, you don't know basketball. You're not a basketball expert. Damn straight I'm not. But you know who is? John Brady. And I work at LSU Sports Radio as a board operator part-time. And I hear his interviews before and after games. I hear his interviews after games on other stations. And man, I tell you, from an adult who gets a paycheck from LSU, coached at LSU, that has been saying all year long, he keeps on saying LSU fans think that they don't foul, but guess what? They don't know shit. They do foul a lot. LSU makes a lot of dumb fouls. He even said this morning, again, on the Jordy Culotta show, the exact same thing. LSU fans think everybody's out to get them, but they don't understand that LSU makes dumb fouls constantly. They are not good at it. So stop saying everyone's out to get you. LSU makes dumb fouls, and it's their fault. And this is one of the worst losses in the Will Wade era, probably second behind the Vanderbilt loss 3 years ago. So much so, this was such a bad loss, that I had someone tweet at me last night after the game, I'm just ready for baseball season. Let's just move on to baseball season. No, the season is not lost. I disagree. Because the problems LSU is having, and I'll continue to beat this into your head, are fixable. And right now, the biggest problem LSU is having are simply injury-related. Your best shooters, Pinson and Murray, are essentially playing hurt. And your best point guard, Pinson, he can't even practice full-time. Just because he's healthy to play doesn't mean he's healthy to practice full-time, which means he's going to come out and going to play like shit, like he did last night, and he had to pull him, which was the right thing to do. And I'll remind you, LSU beat Kentucky and Tennessee back-to-back when those teams were at full strength. Now, you have 1 month until the start of SEC tournament play. You piss down your leg against a bad team that will hurt you in the NET rankings when March comes around. So you probably won't get into the top 4 seed of the NCAA tournament like you originally projected. Before last night's shitty loss, you were projected to be a 6 seed according to Joe Lunardi. Now, guess what? You have to avoid falling into the 8-9 seed in the NCAA tournament. The dreaded 8-9 seed, the shit that you got put in last season. Guess what? You're back in that spot right now because of last night. Good news? You have an opportunity to avoid that. Because the next 5 games are SEC bottom feeders. Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Georgia, and Mississippi State. Now, Texas A&M and State are not as bad. They're more middle of the road. Ole Miss was a bottom feeder, and you fucked that up. But here's the thing. The last 4 of your games are at Kentucky, home against Missouri, which is a bottom feeder team, at Arkansas, and then home against Alabama to end the season. Losing to Kentucky on the road or to Arkansas on the road, or maybe even Alabama at home, they won't hurt your seeding, but they won't help. Losing any of those other games will 100% hurt your seeding. The expectations have changed. If you avoid another shitty performance against an inferior opponent, you will stay off of that dreaded 8-9 seed and get healthy in time to make a Sweet 16 run come March. And yes, at full health, this LSU basketball team can at least make a Sweet 16 run this year if they get higher than an 8 seed. So, for the next month, don't fuck it up. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook in the description link below.